Good looking now, G.
Everybody have to tell you that he made you beautiful. Beautiful. Everybody have to tell you that God made you beautiful. Beautiful.
Hey there, excuse me, miss. No disrespect, you're very precious.
Hugs from the honeys, pound from the roughnecks, see my man say. Hugs from the honeys, pound from the roughnecks, see my man say.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Hype. Give it up for our DJ 007.
I love my job.
You can check him out on Instagram at Mr. I Love My Job. Today we're talking about what's in our food. We often pick something up and eat it without even checking the ingredients or the nutritional facts. Do you know what's in your food? Tell us what you think. You can join the discussion by posting your opinions on our Facebook page at Philly Hype TV Show and on Twitter at The Hype TV Show. Be sure to use hashtag #FoodHype. Stay tuned. We'll get hype on food right after this.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
If I got to go to college, oh my goodness. I like discovering new things. You get to see what works for you and what doesn't. That helps you evolve as a person. You get to make like a supernova of skill or talent or whatever it is. I've always wanted to go to college. I just feel like that's my destiny. My name is Queen, and I am your dividend.
Are you a local artist and you would like to have your music featured on The Hype? Well, we might be looking for you. We're looking for respectful hip-hop, R&B and soul, dance and house music, inspirational music, and rock and pop. Please send us the following. We need 5 pictures, 5 edited tracks, 1 music video if you have it, and a bio of the artist. Send it to thehypetvshow@gmail.com. You're watching The Hype, TV for, by, and about young women.
Pop-Tart. Nature Valley Bar. Pop-Tarts, definitely. That's what I think. I don't know, because probably the Nature Valley bars, because I know they are unhealthy, surprisingly enough. They are not really unhealthy. So I'll probably say the Nature.
I would say it depends on the flavor of Pop-Tart.
A Nature Valley bar.
Pop-Tarts. I'm going to guesstimate and say the Pop-Tart.
I'd probably say Lay's chips.
Lay's.
I'd say the Lay's chips.
Lay's chips.
Lay's chips.
A cinnamon pretzel?
More calories?
I go to
Indian.
pretzel. Welcome back. So we just heard what some of you had to say about our topic. And now I'd like to welcome my co-host Courtney and our special guest host, nutritional expert Dejanava of Happy Bodies, Healthy Choices to the conversation. Also, we have Vanessa joining us in the audience today. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Yeah, so what did you guys think about the react? I thought it was funny that one girl had to pause a while.
Because you have, I mean, and this is what happens when you're going food shopping. There's so many different choices, and then everything is marketed as a healthy or healthier option. You're confused. You're just completely confused.
Not to mention, you really don't know when you're reading the back what you're reading. Like the nutritional facts, even if you do it, you're kind of lost. I know I am.
I know there's so many different things that you have to take into account. You have your calories, you have your fats, you have your sodium, your carbs. Like what is it depending on your diet? What do you need to focus on? And then doing your own research. Like it's so much information just on that little nutritional facts label.
That's so true.
I think before we even get into the nutritional label, we have to ask people, what is real food? So what are the audience members, what are the 4 main food groups? Does anyone know? Anyone can guess? What are our 4 main food groups?
Isn't it like, so I know there's meat.
There's
so
I would call that protein.
Protein.
Dairy.
I'm not going to call dairy a food. I'm not calling
vegetables.
I'm with y'all.
Vegetables.
I ain't know it.
What about vegetables and fruits?
Is it grains?
And whole grains. So
yes.
So the 4 main food groups are protein, and I don't like to say meat because you can get
protein
from like
nuts
nuts sources and beans and legumes and even like kale. So there's almost protein in all of our fruits and vegetables. So we have protein, we have fruits, we have vegetables, and then we have whole grains. So once you start off with that, it's like, okay, these are my food groups. Now, what is a cheesy puff snack? What food group does that fit into?
A snack. That is
No,
not good
out of
for
our
you.
4 main, out of our 4 main food
Can we
groups.
pause for a second and just see how you asked that question and we didn't really know it? And we're sitting here eating and we don't even know it.
So a cheese puff starts off as corn. Now everyone knows what corn is. And when you taste that cheese puff, just think about what had to be done to that corn, how
to make it
processed
look like
is.
that.
And then it tastes so good, Dee.
Then
So
your
look like
fingertips
that.
are orange. Taste like that. Yes.
There's a lot.
But what do you do when you want to, like, you just don't know? So
You just don't know. So you remember your four food groups for one. Your whole grains, your protein, your fruits, and your vegetables. And you ask yourself, what food group does this product belong in? So for example, if you take an apple, this is a beautiful apple. Apple. And you take applesauce, right? We all know that applesauce comes from an apple. And then you have apple seasoning or apple candy. Imagine that apple candy. As you go away from the natural food, you're losing vitamins, you're losing minerals, you're losing antioxidants, you're losing fiber. So think of that green apple flavored candy. How did you go from this to that candy? Now we can imagine the applesauce because this is mushing it up.
Yeah.
Maybe adding some water, maybe adding some cinnamons. But that apple candy, what is it? What are we eating?
That's a huge question.
I know, right? Question today, right?
Yeah, because we really don't know. Because even your applesauce, unless, like one thing, I know for me, I got more conscious about what I was putting into my body, especially when I got out of college and I was living on my own. I'm like, well, what is this? I used to always get Lunchables. I loved the Lunchable or pre-packed thing.
For Lunchables.
The little pizza
No,
ones.
I eat them too. I hear you. I love Lunchables. It's so good.
I looked on the bag. I'm like, this
We know why.
this mysterious pepperoni and I'm like, what is it that I'm eating?
What is pepperoni?
What is it?
Where does it? We know it's pork, but what part of the pig?
Or it
did
could be
come
beef,
from?
or it could be turkey. It could be anything. And the thing is, too, I found it upon myself because I'm purchasing this stuff. I need to know what's going into my body. So reading the labels, I remember watching the shows like if you can't pronounce it, don't buy it, don't consume it, don't eat it, which is something that I've kind of lived by. Is that right to do that?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the back of a food label, there's like 20 different ingredients. My rule is that if it has 5 or more ingredients, and you don't recognize them, not to buy it. If it has 5 ingredients in it, you know that it's been made with simple food, not food byproducts like that cheese puff that started off as corn, right? And also you want to try to eat healthier. So I know teenagers, people in college, they may not be able to make their meals, or they may not have the choices, but people think of that pretzel that we just saw in the video as a snack, and it's over 400 calories. And a hoagie is only 60 calories less. So now you just have to really say how many calories it is. Even if you don't understand what the fats mean, what the sodium should be. If you just stick to the calories and remember your 4 food groups, you're going to make healthier decisions.
And you brought up a good point too. That pretzel is that snack, but in a hoagie you have a meat of a protein, you have a vegetable, it could be a lettuce, an onion, a tomato, and then you have your bread, your grain. And so for all of that with 60 calories less, you get like you said, all of those things versus just the snack.
Just snack, because you're eating that pretzel because you're about to eat, but you're like at the mall somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, when people eat pretzels, they're in the middle of doing something. Let me grab this pretzel, but really that could be the meal.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you distinguish when you think that you're doing something healthy, like the Nutri-Grain bar, but it's not? How do you know then? Because, you know, people make decisions based off of what they see on a brand.
Yes.
Healthy eating, I know there was one particular juice company that had like, oh, this is all natural, and then they had a lawsuit against them because it wasn't all natural.
Exactly.
Right? So how, as a consumer, do you know what's good, what's not?
Until you become more educated about nutrition, I really say stick to the calories. So your each meal for women should be about 500 calories, and your snacks can be 200 calories. For men, you can do a little bit more. Most men can eat 2,000 calories in a day. For women, you want to say between 1,500 and 1,700. So if you're having 3 meals that are 500 calories and snacks that are 200 calories or 100 calories, you can kind of gauge what you're eating. I say until you start to really read on nutrition, that is the best way to start. And in Philadelphia, I mean, we have our calories listed and posted on all fast food restaurants.
And that's something
that's really a great advantage.
But how do you do that if you make your food at home? Like, I don't want to walk around like to think, okay, I'm a 23-year-old just graduated from college. I don't want to walk around like counting calories.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad that you cook and you're 23. When you're able to cook and you're living on your own, you have to get over it. You have to start cooking. And cooking at home is always going to be healthier than buying it in the store. If you're making fried chicken, and I do not promote fried foods,
but it's good.
It's delicious. But you
all right,
but fried food is good. But once you stop eating it, you really start to taste that fat and that grease, and it is not good anymore.
It really,
you know, it's a taste that we've learned and have been taught that it's good. But if you've never been exposed to it, it's an acquired taste.
It is. All right. Well, before we continue with that, and I want to get back to it, but stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
What do you think it would be like to teach? Chances are, you have no idea. Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
This job looks perfect. It says you need a high school diploma. You've got one of those, right?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
I got that.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
she doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new. Hello, is anyone there? Ugh.
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened? Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi. You mean you were driving? Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, She texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Hey, this is Jennifer Hudson, and you're watching The Hype.
TV for, by, and about young women.
Welcome back. Now, if you're watching us at home, school, or wherever you are, you can join the conversation by posting your comments online. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, then post your comments to today's question. What ingredient do you check for to know if a product is healthier than another? Don't forget the hashtag #FoodHype. Here's what some of you had to say on Twitter. Queen E says one of the things that she looks for is to make sure it's kosher, okay? Now, what about the rest of us?
I go by what I read. Like you said, if I could read and it says apples and sea salt and that's it, or like the ingredients are clear as day and I know I can go to the grocery aisle and make the same thing off of what they say, then I throw it in my bag. I throw it in my grocery cart.
And I think that question is a question that I want to follow up with is how do you go about, should you be ashamed if you don't know any? Because I know we're saying if you can't pronounce it, then don't buy it, but then you might be cutting out foods that are actually good for you just because you can't pronounce the name. So how do you go about, just making sure if you're at the store and you want to know, well, I don't really know what kosher is. What is that? Is that good for me or is it bad for me?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point because you may not know how to pronounce a vitamin. You may look at it and say, what is this? So if it's in a package, more than likely, if it comes pre-packaged, it's probably not healthy for you. I mean, there are some healthier snacks, but if it's in a package, that means they had to add salt or fat in it so that you can even like the taste.
And preservatives.
So yeah.
And then even the low fat things. I know if you notice, like if you look at a low fat or fat free versus the full fat, something with doing my research, you see that there's a higher sodium count to compensate for the lack of the natural fat that may come from that milk and them using another
and just think, if it's in a package, it needs to have a shelf life. That means they need to be able to sell it to the supermarket or whoever the vendor is, and it needs to sit in that shelf for some time so that both parties can get the money and the profit from it. So they're adding all types of ingredients. I'll use the fried chicken example. You're making fried chicken, you know what's in it. You have the flour, your salt, your pepper. You even know how much salt and pepper is in there. And if you go to a fast food chain that sells fried chicken, they had to put preservative in it to get that extra crunch because you don't know.
Extra crispy,
right? And it's already, it comes in a bag that needs to freeze. And then so when they unfreeze it, it needs to fry, right? So what are they adding to your food?
So you're telling me in the commercial where it shows them back there really hand breading the chicken?
I'm not saying that they aren't. I'm not saying that they aren't hand breading the chicken, but because of the volume of the stores, I doubt that they're. I don't know if they are hand breading the chicken or not. However, I know that if you make your fried chicken at home, if you cook at home, you are using way less ingredients because you're not using any preservatives. You can measure out your salt and sugar. Again, if you don't know how much sodium you should have, you don't know what a trans fat is or what a saturated fat is, just stick to the calories. If it's over 500 calories, that is a lot of calories for that meal. If you're at home, you don't really have the calorie count, but what you do want to do is always add vegetables to your plate. Half of your plate when cooking dinner, when eating lunch, should be vegetables.
Right. I think before you go, I think the audience had some questions that they wanted.
We have a few audience questions. We have Linda first with her question.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
I'm a snacker.
Yes.
I'm not really a meal kind of person, but I'm on the go, working, and so forth. What type of snacks would you recommend that doesn't have a high sodium content?
So when you say you're a snacker, what type of snacks do you prefer?
Like unsalted peanuts, unsalted pretzels, but sometimes peanuts tend to upset my stomach.
Okay. So for me, I know I had an apple in my bag today, but I always have an apple in my bag. So you want to have fruits in your bag so you can easily grab it and go. You can do popcorn on your own. You can cut up some fruits and vegetables on your own. I think we have to change what we consider a snack. So a snack doesn't have to be junk food. It can be something that you cooked and you can eat on the go. So you can make like a small salad. That can be your snack for the day. You can cut up tomatoes.
Somebody at my job she introduced me to homemade sweet potato fries. I mean, it changed my life, y'all. I didn't know it could taste so good and be so healthy at the same time.
And it's so easy to make.
So easy. Literally, the oven does the job. All you do is throw some like garlic or whatever your seasoning is, and it does it. Then you can just pop in those little sweet potato fries. They're so good.
And another thing too, with the apple, I like to cut up my apples, and then even almond butter is my new favorite thing instead of peanut butter. And you can even make almond butter, almonds, olive oil, salt, and if you want to do cinnamon or a little honey to sweeten it up, that's it.
And I'm not saying, I know most people aren't going to eat a diet that stays away completely from salt and fat, but at least if you're eating your apple with some caramel dip, at least it's not a covered caramel apple.
That was already pre-made.
That was already pre-made at the store. You know how much caramel you're putting in it. You know what I mean? So you want to kind of just always incorporate something healthy or healthier in your meals.
Okay, we have one more question.
I have a sweet tooth and I eat candy like every day. What is a good alternative for like candy?
I promise you, pineapples. When you get a fresh pineapple, not canned pineapple, it tastes like, it's so sweet. It really does taste like candy.
It's so funny you say that.
And to be quite honest, if you're used to eating sugar, you have to just wean yourself off the sugar. You become like almost addicted to the sugar, so you have to just decrease it and start to eat more fruits and vegetables. So, and you might have some withdrawal symptoms. That's what is really crazy about sugar, is that when you start to decrease it, you might have shakes, you might have a headache, you might become angry. You're like, why am I angry? Oh, I didn't have my candy today. So you just want to try to replace it with anything that's not candy.
That's naturally sweet.
That's naturally sweet, like the apples, pineapples, applesauce.
Yeah, do you know
your favorite fruit or vegetable? Just try to replace it.
There's a lot of people who don't know what the real fruit tastes like. They know fruit flavored things.
Yes.
Like there's so many people who go, I love mango, and I say, no, I've never eaten a real mango. I'm like, what? That's not that fun. What do you mean?
And like, or like the pumpkin flavored thing.
Yes, but no one has eaten a pumpkin.
No one's eaten a pumpkin soup.
I have a question. So like, okay, we're talking about all this. We're talking about the fresh foods and how to make these things. What if we're on the go and on the run? And we don't have time to necessarily prepare these things ourselves because we have a busy lifestyle. What do you do then?
So that's when the calories. So, I mean, the good news is that a lot of fast food restaurants or chains, they have incorporated healthier options. So you can still get in your salads. They do sell apple slices. They do sell a smaller box of apple juice. And you just have to be creative. You have to take the time to look at the menu and say, okay, now what is the healthier choice? Maybe I can ask for extra lettuce or extra tomato. Maybe I'll I know someone who, if they get a chicken sandwich, they only use half of the bun and cut it in half, so it's not as many white carbs. So it just really takes, you can't get away from preparation in healthy eating. I think that we want everything to be instantaneously, and unfortunately, instantaneous food doesn't really work out to be healthy.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And I have one more thing before we wrap it up. It's just for the guys, you said earlier 500 calories is too much. There are some shakes where they put 4,000 calories into one. What do you have to say about that?
So 500 calories for each meal, so that gives you about 1,500 calories a day, and then leaves you room for snack. It really depends. You don't need that many calories unless you're someone who's working out like crazy. Like for example, the Gatorades in the sports drink, the average person does not need a Gatorade after they work out. Gatorades are made for people who do extreme sports.
I didn't know that, because people just drink Gatorade
and it is good. It does rehydrate you. But like you said, people, you don't necessarily need that. Drink water with the electrolytes in it. You don't need the added stuff in it.
Oh man, did you want to say something?
Yeah, also like when you mentioned that on the go too, like thinking about a smoothie. So if you see, there's so many in the city, especially going to the different bars where you can get get a banana, strawberry, and pineapple smoothie and just ask for ice instead of non-fat yogurt.
Yeah, but you have to be careful with the smoothie. I went to a smoothie place and they were like, do you want sugar in it?
That's another thing.
And I was like, do I want sugar? Oh my God, they add sugar to the smoothies. Because when you make your smoothie at home, it's just fruits and vegetables.
It's vegetables.
So they're adding the sweeteners in it, and you're thinking you're doing something healthy. Like, oh, I've been drinking my smoothie. I'm healthy, and they've added a couple of tablespoons of sugar in it.
Right, that's a good point. Be very assertive in what you're doing with your healthy lifestyle choices.
Questions. And always
right. But before we get to that, let's stay tuned, and the hype will return right after this.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Homemade noodles. Marty, stop it. It reminds me, maybe we should try a new form of birth control.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
What do you think, though?
Hey, this is Jennifer Hudson, and you're watching The Hype.
TV for, by, and about young women.
We would like to thank our DJ 007, and our special guest host, Dijanaba. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like to intern with us, be in the studio audience, become a guest host, or submit music for the show, please visit our website, thehypetvshow.com. I'm Jessica Charles, and for Courtney, Vanessa, and the whole Hype team, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good looking now, G. Disrespect, you're very precious. Please tell me what's your name. You're a precious gem and God's to blame. No, I'm not trying to spit the game, cause it's your soul I'm trying to claim. You probably never heard of this. A love affair without a kiss, all the time.